grounds of poverty and ignorance, have what it takes to challenge institutionalized presidency, otherwise known as monarchy.
Just before I go to the next question, I just want to make sure I let everyone know who you are. Mr. Dele Momodu is a former politician who actually ran for president just not too long ago, and in this context, he's a political analyst. That's what he's given us an update now concerning what we're seeing, that is the trend happening in Togo. Now, just as you said, Mr. Momodu, it seems to be becoming a trend, and you also mentioned that you don't know what the African Union might be able to do about this. But is it also dicey, seeing as the president of Zimbabwe is the chairman of the African Union at the moment? So is there much that the African Union can actually do in cases like this?
What usually happens is that the African leaders find it difficult to intervene because virtually all the countries in Africa have gone through this at one time or the other, or attempted to do the same, being in power perpetually. So I'm not sure. That's why I said I'm not sure what the African Union can do. But something has to be done to encourage democracy. And I'm happy that Nigeria is beginning to take a leading example. I remember meeting President Jacob Zuma in South Africa in 2009. And he told me clearly that the moment Nigeria is able to lead properly, the rest of Africa will follow. So I believe Nigeria has set a good example with our recent election when an incumbent was defeated and he conceded defeat. So we need to encourage more of this. I believe that just as soon as the new president of Nigeria takes over power, he will be able, through a formidable team of foreign affairs experts, take a leading role in Africa. There's a lot Nigeria in particular can do to encourage democracy in Africa.
Okay, so Mr. Momodu, I know that you don't really know what the African Union might be able to do in this case, but we're seeing, for instance, something happening in Burundi where a representative of the United States was advising the current president, who is trying to run for third term, against doing so, as it could cause some violence. So how much can the international community really do in scenarios like we're seeing now?
There is so much. The world has become a small global village, and we did see what President Obama was able to do for Nigeria and for Nigerians recently, before our own election. It was obvious that Nigeria was heading towards disaster, but due to the very, very definite practical intervention of the United States of America, the European Union, the African Union, we were able to avert that monumental tragedy in our country. President Obama sent an emissary to Nigeria in the person of the Secretary of State, John Kerry. Thereafter, the Vice President of America made phone calls to both our President and his challenger, General Buhari, and the President of the United States himself, Obama, made a very powerful broadcast in which he addressed Nigerians directly and encouraged us to embrace democracy. And I believe this put a lot of pressure on would-be troublemakers who were hell-bent on making sure that democracy was aborted. And we thank God, and that is why I'm saying that now Nigeria has a leading role to play, and something definitely would happen.
Chief Momodu, thank you very much for making our time to be with us. We sincerely appreciate your time and your input. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling me. Have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you very much. Now we'll round things up in South Africa / Zimbabwe. Now, since xenophobia attacks began in South Africa, the government has come under huge criticism for handling the matter with kids' gloves. Now, based on that and other developments in the matter, the current chairman of the African Union and president of Zimbabwe believes that the solution lies in staying back home. For this reason, he has asked other African nations to stop their citizens from migrating to South Africa to prevent violence against foreigners. A wave of anti-immigrant violence in South Africa has claimed 7 lives in Durban and Johannesburg over the past 4 weeks. The South African government has deployed troops to stop the fighting, and after a summit of the Southern African Development Community called to discuss industrialization in South Africa, President Mugabe confirmed that his South African counterpart, Jacob Zuma, had briefed regional leaders on the violence. And he has also said that the citizens will be well educated in order to prevent future attacks. Now, as you know, we always like to hear from you right here on Network Africa. Feel free to reach out to us with your questions or comments either via Twitter or email. The address and handle are right there on your screen. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cynthia Ray.